Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Sound Family Dwelling. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Mark Jacobson. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Chris. Nice
Hello.
to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you. We're talking about title, which, of all the years in the business, title is one of those very what is this thing and why do we need this? So I'm glad you're kind of dispelling some of the confusion around it.
Yeah, there's a lot to know about title, title insurance, title searches, what is title, why do you need it, etc. And it's so vast and complicated that there's so much to learn about it.
Yeah.
Even after, over 2 decades in the industry, I'm still learning things about it, So, but anyway, I'd like to just touch on a few things about title, just to get people a little bit more knowledge and get them thinking, and perhaps they can do more research on their own. And really, you can go to any title company website and find an frequently asked questions page, I'm sure, and learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah,
it's not the most exciting stuff, but when you're going through the process of buying a home, or even refinancing your home, or selling a home, it's good to understand a little bit more about what title is, and because it is a cost of selling and or buying or refinancing your home, and so it's important to understand what it is a little bit and why you're doing that. So,
and it is there for a reason, it's not like it's extra thing that we came up with to just make it more complicated. Like, it actually is there for a reason, so it's good to know what the reason is.
Right. So let's get into it. But before I dive into title, I want to, this is what all the escrow and title people, they almost say this to me every time I talk to them. Make sure you tell people about fraud and wire fraud when it comes to closing a transaction in real estate. So just a quick little blurb about that. It's important that you, as a seller, a buyer, and or if you're refinancing your home, to always understand that an escrow company or a title company, they will never make any last minute changes to your wiring instructions to close your transaction. So, when you're buying a home, you have to bring some money, to close the transaction, the rest of your down payment and closing costs, etc. Sometimes you have to do that as a seller as well, but as a seller, you're most likely getting money, so you're setting up wiring instructions for the escrow company to wire the money to you after the transaction is closed. Anyway, they will never do any last minute changes, and a lot of these fraudulent thieves and things, what they'll do is they'll figure out that you're closing a transaction, and they'll send you an email saying, oh, hey, we need you to set up your wiring instructions this way because we had this thing and we had to change it or whatever.
Right.
That will never happen from the actual escrow and title company.
Got it.
What they will do is they will call you first to tell you that they want to set up wiring instructions to and from your bank, and then they'll send you a secured email that you have to click on and enter some information to even get there. So anyway, be very wary of that, and if you have any questions about a phone call that you even received, you can definitely just call the escrow company you're dealing with on that transaction just to verify. So anyway,
that's
with
big
that
time.
said, let's start off with our title questions here, what title is, etc. So why do you need a title insurance policy? Well, the title to the property, what it does is it covers those matters, rights, or claims that are not shown by the public records and therefore not discoverable by a search of an examination of those public records.
Mm.
So when you're getting a title insurance policy, well, let's start off with what is a title search.
Yeah.
Okay. A title search is it's a review of all the public records concerning property being sold or refinanced.
Got it.
So any liens, it determines if there are any rights or claims that may have impact upon the title, such as any unpaid taxes, unsatisfied mortgages, judgments, tax liens,
right,
against the current or past owners, even any easements, restrictions, or in court actions. So it covers anything that could be placed on the property as any sort of lien or judgment, or like I said, easements or anything like that. That's going to be on the title to the property.
Right.
Okay. So a title search goes out and finds all those things, and once they find them, they report them, and then these matters can be either accepted or resolved or extinguished prior to the closing of the transaction. So in addition, you're protected against any recorded defects, liens, or encumbrances upon the title that are unreported to you, which are within the coverage of that particular policy issued in the transaction. So what could those possibly be? Well, they could be an unrecorded lien against the property. Perhaps it was, there's written document, but it was never recorded against the property. I actually had that happen
really?
in a transaction once, where there was a private loan that was intended to be against the property, but the relative who issued the loan never went and recorded it.
Wow.
And so anyway, during this sale of the property, that had to be resolved, and it was resolved. It wasn't that big of a deal, but anyway, things like that can happen. But what title insurance covers is what if that comes to light after the property is sold. So Harry sells the property, and a year later, his cousin Joe, who gave him the loan that was supposed to go again, said, "Wait, you sold that property? Well, where's my money?
Right.
I got this document here that says you owe me this money, and it was supposed to be paid out." So chances are they would probably resolve it themselves. But if it was a little more complicated than that, and title never found that recorded document or something like that, then the title company would cover all the costs to get that resolved.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's ensuring you, as a new owner to the property, that you won't have to pay Joe for Joe's loan.
Yep. And that's exactly why you'd want insurance. You don't want to end up with surprises after having taken ownership of a property and its title. And congratulations, tell them what you won. You have a judgment that we didn't.
Right. Yeah. And even more sticky is when it's, a tax lien, an old tax lien, or something like that. It could be from 2 owners ago.
Right.
Not just the one you bought it from, but 2 owners ago, all of a sudden that comes up. Well, it's the title insurance company that actually gets that all resolved, and they pay for all the costs and everything. Okay.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. So now if you've ever bought a home or refinanced your home, you'll notice that there's also a lender policy. So let's talk about what types of policies are there out there.
Yeah.
Well, there's an owner's policy that protects you against, as a new owner, that protects you against the types of things that I just talked about. And then there's also a lender's policy that protects the lender from those types of things
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the lender interested in that? Well, the lender has a huge lien against the property in the mortgage that they've provided to you.
Right.
If it's not what we call a marketable title, meaning a title that is free from all those things,
Yeah.
then that puts the lender at risk
Yep.
for not having a collateral that they can count on.
Right. Yeah.
That's just kind of a layman's way to put it.
Yeah, that's good. Well said.
So it's a guarantee against them.
Yep. Really clear.
Right. So who pays for these policies? Well, the owner's policy is generally paid for by the seller,
Okay.
and the lender's policy is paid by the buyer. Or, of course, if you're refinancing your home, you pay for it as the homeowner
Right.
when you refinance.
Got it.
And so that should also be mentioned that the lender's policy only lasts for the duration of the loan. So if you buy a house today,
Yep.
you're paying for a lender's policy of title insurance. If 5 years from now you want to refinance, you have to pay for a new policy. That policy that you paid for today, in 5 years, once you refinance, it's now null and void. It's a new policy.
Right.
And why would that be? Well, between now and 5 years from now, you could have lots of things placed on title from your life that, you know, the title company has to find out and search and get resolved for that lender to feel comfortable giving you the loan on that collateral.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, one thing that should be said though with title insurance is that it's only a one-time payment.
I was going to ask about payments. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one time. You don't have repeating premiums every year, every month. You just pay for it at the time that you close the transaction.
Got it. Okay.
So that's a lot different than other types of insurance that you have where you're paying, you know, every month or, you know, a few times a year. It's just one time.
Got it.
And it's several $100s. It all depends on the size of the loan for the lender's policy, and then of course the amount of the sale for the homeowner's policy.
Got it.
So, but yeah, there's for a normal size transaction, $500,000 home sale, several $100s. I don't want to quote any costs, but it is several $100s. If you're talking millions, $3-4 million home, it could definitely be in the 4 digits.
Right.
The policies, or I'm sorry, the premiums for those policies. But
anyway,
it's just a one-time thing, and it's all taken care of at closing.
Nice. Good.
Okay.
Good.
So we already touched on this, but how does title insurance protect against claims? Well, it covers the costs in defending the title in court if necessary, at no cost to the owner or lender. And it bears the cost of settling the case, and if it proves valid, that is, in order to protect your title and maintain possession of the property.
Yeah, that's a lot. That covers, if it's a one-time payment and you went to some sort of court case, like that could get expensive pretty quick. That's really important. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
So those are the basic gists of title. There's like I said, there's a lot more to it. You can get quite in depth with it all, but that's the basic gist of it.
Really clear. It's funny because I've been in the industry for a long time, but just thinking about title. Well, don't really exactly know how to describe it to you. It's obviously there's the title of the property, which I understand, but like all the other stuff, like why there's an entire industry, title companies around all of that, like that can start to get confusing. I think you did a really good job today of just describing the layman's terms of all that. So it's good.
Cool. Now, one other thing to maybe lead into our next episode is title and escrow. They kind of go together. And in fact, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, the same company that issues the title insurance for the transaction is also going to provide escrow services to close the transaction.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but
Right.
most of the time that's the case.
Yeah.
So next time I'd like to talk about escrow in the same light. What is escrow? Why, what's that all about? We've touched on escrow in the first couple of episodes when we were talking about just overall aspects of a transaction and going through the loan process.
Yep.
But we'll go into a little bit more depth about
Good.
what escrow actually does.
Yeah. Super good. Awesome, Mark. Well, another great episode. Thank you for your time, passing on the wisdom so we can buy and sell houses better. Love it.
And if anybody has any questions about this, just send me an email at soundfamilydwelling@gmail.com or seattlehomes2010@gmail.com. And
Awesome.
I can provide you more info.
Perfect. That's good stuff, Mark. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See ya.
Thanks. Bye-bye.